up, second cousins? Welcome in to this reaction to the Orlando Magic falling to the defending world champions, the Boston Celtics, 121-94. Happy to be joined here by Luke today and all you out there, second cousins. I mean, going into this one, Luke, I just thought everything was aligning against us. We've got half of our roster out. The Celtics are completely healthy. They're coming off a bad loss to the Toronto Raptors. We're in Boston. The only hope was, is Paolo going to have another 50-burger and just have an outstanding game? Yeah, Cole Anthony was our leading scorer. That didn't happen, so we end up losing by almost 30 here. Just not a pretty game. First half was okay, but once the Boston Celtics kind of got out of arm's length from us, and we started shooting threes, it was all over. That's all she wrote, Luke. It was an ugly game to watch. It was tough.
Absolutely. And you look at why this Magic team has lost in several recent games, and it kind of all points down to the same thing. You're not going to win plenty of games when you shoot 5 for 32 from three. That is a 3-point percentage of 15.6%. And you're especially not going to win that battle against the best three-point shooting team in the NBA, who went 17 for 37. That's 45.9% from three tonight. That is a stark difference, one of the starkest differences of about 30% that I've seen all season, even from a Magic team that continues to defy just how bad of a shooting team they are year after year after year. And because when you look at everything else, outside of the field goal percentage, which is also a can of worms that will open pretty soon, 34-82, this has been a team, like, outside of the actual scoring, they kind of kept up with the Celtics. 25 defense rebounds to the Celtics 30, 37 total rebounds to the Celtics 41, 44 points in the paint to the Celtics 38. We beat them in points in the paint, and we beat them in fouls, 19 to the Celtics 23. 8-10 for turnovers, 3-6 for steals, 3-3 for blocks. Like, we matched up very, very well against the Celtics. And if you look exactly at the one glaring issue, rather three glaring issues, it's the three ways to score the basketball, but the main glaring issue of shooting three-pointers, again, against the best team in basketball, you're not going to win many games.
Nope. No, absolutely not. And before we move on, you do have a little bit of explaining to do, though, Luke. I'm not sure if you know this, but over your left shoulder, I guess, there's Jason Tatum on your wall, sir. You have some explaining to do. What's going on?
I do have some explaining to do. So for those of you who do not know, I currently live in Boston. I go to Boston University. I am a senior over there.
Go Terriers.
Go Terriers. Kyle, fellow BU alum.
Mm-hmm.
And I have attended a lot of Celtics games.
Yes.
Always rooting for my hometown Orlando Magic, of course, as was the case tonight.
Yes.
But I have I believe this Jason Tatum one is from that 2021 first playoff game, where he had that buzzer beater. And there's a Kevin Garnett one, for those of you who are watching on YouTube. There's a Kevin Garnett one that's right kind of by, like, this wall right there near my bed. That is from Kevin Garnett's jersey retirement. So, and being at TD Garden is a fantastic place, but it's not a fantastic place when the Magic are losing.
No, it was not last night. And we do have the same origin story. That the Celtics are my B team, and it's exactly the same reason that they are yours, man. It was frigid. 15% from beyond the arc. I mean, Caleb Houston, I'm sorry to call you out, buddy, but you have been shooting like dog shit. My boy is doing his best Ernest Shackleton impression, trying to explore the Antarctic. I feel for him. Nothing's falling, and that's his primary job. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And he's not the only one. We're the worst three-point shooting team by percentage in the NBA at just over 30%. The next worst team is the Washington Wizards. Yeah, the Washington Wizards are beating us, and they're 3 percentage points ahead of us, and they're tanking. They're trying not to win. So it's not good. They're sagging for Flag, who was in attendance, by the way, the predominant number one likely number 1 overall pick, was in attendance. I do have to say, though, one of his boys, there were some camera shots. My boy had a massive whitehead on the side of his face. I don't know if he gets along with his teammates, because if you're a good teammate and people like you, they would tell you, hey, homie, go get that settled in the bathroom and then come back. There's going to be a lot of camera on you. But back to the point of the shitty three-point shooting. I'm so furious about this, Luke, because this is something that we all saw. All you second cousins, everyone out there with eyeballs like me, like Luke, we saw that this was an issue. And what did we hear from the front office? Internal growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, sure, I guess with Jalen Suggs being out and Franz Wagner being out, that's hurting the three-point percentages, but it was an area where we could grow. There's no reason to have re-signed Gary Harris, who is an oft-injured entity on this team and has played literally nothing. How many points, Luke, in 2025?
He has scored 4 points this calendar year of 2025.
4 points. And last year there was a number, and he's making, I think, $7 million, a little over $7 million a year for the next, I think it's just this year, and then there's an option next year. But like, there was a lot of shooters available this offseason. Malik Beasley, Buddy Hield, Tyus Jones, Wesley Matthews. There were even like some, I'll throw Spencer Dinwiddie in there. He's not a shooter, but he'll give you something of what we're also missing, which is a little bit more creation, just another sure hand with the rock. But, I mean, Buddy Hield's making $9 million. I would much rather have a Buddy Hield at even $10 million. We can beat what the Warriors are going to pay you, buddy. And, okay, maybe you argue, and Tyus Jones is making $3 million. You can argue to me those guys were trying to be on maybe teams they thought was going to get a ring. But clearly that's not happening. And if you're telling me if you come with Tyus Jones and you beat the Phoenix Suns $3.3 million and say, hey, we'll give you $10 million a year, he's not going to say, absolutely, I'm there, Orlando, let's go. I'm just a little frustrated with the front office and having to see Paolo try to do so much. The bodies are coming at him. He's throwing guys open, and we're just missing shots, Luke, again and again and again.
The Magic absolutely are missing shots, and that was something that we've known for years. Even last year, that was our biggest issue by a long shot. And I guess in theory, you could justify bringing back Gary Harris as one of the few guys last year who shot the ball at a somewhat decent rate, but he hasn't been playing.
Right.
That hamstring just has been sapping him of all of his availability.
It's his kryptonite. I mean, and that's not a new thing. It's not like, oh, Gary Harris is injured. What? We knew that.
Like we knew he was injured, and you knew that he was somebody that you would have to be relying on for shooting, and that's someone who is injured that often. You're seeing what happens when you have to rely on that person.
Yeah.
And you also could justify the bringing in of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, killing about 3 birds with one stone: the perimeter defense to alleviate pressure off Jalen Suggs, the veteran presence that this team sorely needs, and the three-point shooting. And it has been well documented among the Magic community that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's three-point shooting has suffered a little bit. To start the season, but he was picking it up well, which we talked about on our last episode. But since we last communicated, Kyle, he has gone 0 for 0. I think he missed the game against the 76ers.
Yep.
He went 2 for 7 against Milwaukee on the 15th, and last night he went 1 for 4 for 8 points and 5 points respectively. These are not numbers that you want to see out of the guy that you signed to be your primary shooting option. And it's really just those two guys that have proven the ability to shoot at an NBA level before this last season. Because if you just think about any random NBA player over the last 5 or random Magic player over the last 5 or so games, you were talking about Caleb Houston earlier, Kyle. He has gone 0 for 3, 2 for 7, 1 for 6, and 1 for 4 in his last 4 games. Look at Trevelin Queen. He's gone 0 for 5, 3 for 6, but 0 for 3, 0 for 0, 1 for 5, 0 for 2, 2 for 5, 1 for 1, and 0 for 0 this calendar year. you look at Tristan da Silva, who you were hoping and has shown flashes of being a really solid three-point shooter, but you want that consistency to be a bit more, especially now. 1 for 3, 0 for 3, 0 for 0, 2 for 7, 0 for 5, 0 for 7, 0 for 4 since January 5th. And you look at Anthony Black, who also missed a couple of games to start off the year, but since he came back, starting January 9th, he's been 0 for 2. January 10th, 1 for 4. January 12th, 0 for 2. January 15th, 0 for 2. And last night, he went 0 for 3. He has made one three-point field goal this calendar year. And you look at stats like that, and you wonder why the Orlando Magic are flattering the way that they are. Like, now it's no longer you're missing your best player because Paolo Banchero is back. Sure, he's not 100%. He's only playing upwards to the upper 20s minutes per game right now, and he'll get there. And the team will obviously surely be better once he gets there. But it's now your issue is no longer your best player is gone, and the issue is no longer even your second best player, your other all-star, and Franz Wagner is gone. Your perimeter defensive ace and Jalen Suggs is gone. And your stable center, Goga Bitadze, is also gone. These are all issues, but they're not the main issue. We've been dancing around the main issue for quite a while, and it's this team's putrid three-point percentage that we all thought was going to get at least somewhat better.
Yeah, at least somewhat better, you would think. Anthony Black, man, that's been tough to see because he shot 40%, I think, from beyond the arc last year, close to it on the year. I mean, granted, those are mostly set shots, open shots, and he's been asked to do a lot more of the ball handling and creation this year. I just guess I didn't think it was going to be such a precipitous fall off to what he's doing this year at 23% from beyond the arc. A bit scary there. I thought there might be some realness. I know his shot was always slow, and it kind of comes back. It wasn't pretty, but it was going in, and he had his feet set, and I thought, okay, if you can replicate this, I don't care how it looks as long as it goes in. Now it's appearing that, okay, we're coming back to the back of the baseball card for Anthony Black, who was coming out of college not expected to be a great shooter. That's kind of a bummer. It was definitely a letdown, but let's give a little bit of props to Cole Anthony because outside of Paolo Banchero, he was the only guy that really had any juice, it seemed like to me last night. He started the game really strong. He was getting into the paint, had a floater, a hook shot over Al Horford, was doing some nice things, getting to his spots near the elbow, hitting some shots, got to the line. But, he didn't have enough. He kind of cooled off in the second half. And I think you said it as we were getting ready, if Cole Anthony is your leading scorer for the Orlando Magic, that probably doesn't equate to victory.
It definitely doesn't equate to victory. And again, a large part of that is because the guy who should be your leading scorer, Paolo Banchero, only played in 29 minutes.
Right.
And
a scary moment there, too, with Kristaps.
Very scary moment. We'll get to that in a little bit. But again, if Cole Anthony is your leading scorer, that's not a problem. And he was also, aside from your starting center, and Wendell Carter Jr., the team's leading rebounder. And he's always been a great rebounding guard, one of the best in the league.
Yes.
But he had a lot to carry tonight. And you could see throughout the game last night, he was one of the only people, like you were saying, Kyle, that was actually really making something work on the offensive side of the basketball. He had 23 points. He went 9 for 15 from the field. He went 40% from three. And 7 rebounds and a steal. Those are really, really, really good numbers in a game where not a lot of Magic players had really good offensive numbers. He is only one of 2 players outside of Paolo Banchero to score more than 20 points and one of 4 to score in double figures, alongside Banchero, Wendell Carter, and Anthony Black. It's not encouraging when you are only when you have to rely on a guy who to start this season wasn't in the rotation, and now it's not even because you're missing a lot of guys. You still are, but now it's actually because Cole Anthony has been one of your better players over this last stretch of games. He went 23 last night. Yeah. He had 11 points, against Milwaukee, 2017 against Philadelphia, a huge, huge, huge reason why they won on Sunday, going 11 for 17 from the field and 2 for 6 from three. He scored in double figures in every game he's played since January 5th. And that's a huge credit to him.
Yes.
But it's also a testament to the fact that most of the offensive workload right now is going to Cole Anthony as Paolo Banchero ramps up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it sounds like Cole was listening when we did our last reaction, Luke, because I thought he was going to be the odd man out as we start to get healthy, and we haven't really gotten healthy yet, so we will see. But it's as if he did hear, and because he's been putting up, like you said, there is a need for some offensive firepower, and because no one else is stepping up, Cole Anthony is assuming that role. But as you alluded to, if that's happening, well, that means Anthony Black's not really panning out. Where's the shot from Kenny? Okay, how's Paulo playing? I think he could have been a little bit more aggressive to the hoop, especially when he had Derek White on him last night. These types of things are happening, which doesn't normally lead to victory. But hopefully, when I am down in Orlando with Jason on March 29th for Court Cousins Night, the third annual family reunion, we will get a victory. The last two we've gotten a victory. If you haven't already, get your ticket. It's in the show. It's in the details of this video. The first 5 people to get their tickets get into a special raffle for a Paolo Banchero jersey. We're going to have tons of other raffles and fun things. So please come down and join us for that if you can, and make sure you've already clicked like and subscribe, because you probably noticed there weren't any advertisements when you came in to look at Luke and our handsome face, because I'm done with ads, Luke. So we're not monetizing this. These videos are just coming to you for free. So please like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. But, it's not looking like it's going to get much easier here, Luke. We've got the Denver Nuggets coming up, who have been on one. I mean, the Russell Westbrook experiment is going crazy. It kind of makes you question all the other teams that he was with and what the heck was going on with their stars, because right beside Jokic, this thing is purring. And then we have, the Trailblazers, and then the Pistons they're playing well, man. They're winning games. I'm worried about that game. I'm not feeling optimistic about that. And if we put up like we did last night, it's not great. Between, what is it, like the 4th and 9th team in the Eastern Conference, there's only like 3 or 4 games. So if we don't right the ship here, Luke, it could get ugly.
Yeah, it is a 3-game split between the 4th place Bucks and the 8th place Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering, Magic fans, your team is sitting pretty at number 6, 2 games ahead of the Atlanta Hawks. For 7 and half a game behind the Indiana Pacers, who are also on one.
Yes.
5th. And looking ahead, like you were saying, there are games that for a team that has aspirations to make, to improve upon, a Game 7 first round loss. These are games that you should have to absolutely beat, even with a schedule that is, or even with a
depleted roster.
Yeah, a completely depleted roster. Again, that game against Denver is going to be a very, very, very tough one to win, given how they're playing right now and given a lot of the talent they have in their roster. Kyle, like you were saying, the Detroit Pistons, these are not the Detroit Pistons that you used to know. This is a much better team than their past several years have preceded. And this could be a playoff team within a couple of months. But again, you have teams like the Trailblazers, who you should be able to beat rather handedly. You have teams like that are struggling, like the Warriors and the Kings right now. If you can take them on, then that should also be fine. Yeah. You have teams like the Jazz, who you should beat, but you weren't able to beat last time you played them.
Yeah, they got guys. They got pros.
And you have the Spurs, the Hawks, and the Hornets, all of whom right now, I believe, are sitting just outside of or just inside the play-in to the lower playoff, to higher lottery. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Teams that, again, there's a lot of talent there, especially over in San Antonio, but you really need to be able to beat them. Yeah. And then coming after the All-Star break, you start off with Atlanta, who, again, you should be able to beat. Memphis, which hopefully you have your guys back. And if you do, that should be a much more competitive game than it would be right now.
Yeah.
And you have Washington, which should be not a problem for this Magic team. You have Cleveland.
Well, they shoot 3% more than we do from three, Luke.
Yes. So it might. So with that 3-point percentage, you could realistically lose to everyone.
No, that's that right. If we shoot 15%, we're not beating anyone. And as you're kind of, listing off these teams as we look forward, it kind of brings me back to my point from beginning that you look at the Detroit Pistons, you look at the Hawks, who are now on our tail. These were teams that made decisive moves in the offseason. Like the Hawks moved off the DeJounte Murray experiment. They get Dyson Daniels back, who has been a revelation for them and is really fitting well. They shook it up. The Pistons bring in seasoned pros. I mean, we're familiar with Tobias Harris. He's not going to light the world on fire, but he's a vet. He's been around. They bring in Malik Beasley, who was a free agent. They bring in Tim Hardaway Jr., who was a free agent. Like, these are guys that were also gettable for the Orlando Magic. Didn't want Tobias Harris, but Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway could have given you a little extra scoring punch here. And it's just a little frustrating. Maybe I'm overreacting, Luke. And as we get healthy, these things will change. But second cousins, it's looking ugly from my perspective right now. And we could, next time we talk, Luke, be in 8th place. And for a team with aspirations and the expectations of being a top 4 seed, that's quite the tough pill to swallow.
It is a tough pill to swallow, especially given how the Magic have been playing. But again, a large part of that, as I was saying before, is because Paolo Banchero hasn't been playing to his 100%. Over the past few games, he has played 27 minutes, 26 minutes, and against the Celtics, he played 29 minutes. By the point where we start getting into All-Star break consideration and like that little rest, he should be back to like playing the high usage that he has.
Right.
And hopefully soon, because again, when the team is without Paolo Banchero, they look a little lost, to put it bluntly and as seriously as I can. We talked a little bit about, or Jamal Mosley talked a little about how he manages Paolo Banchero's minutes over these last 4 games, and he has said that he's implied that Paolo Banchero is still going through a little bit of fatigue as he readjusts to the intensity of a NBA basketball season. And it really just kind of like shows. Like, he had 34 against the Bucks, but 20, 22, and 21, he's still trying to figure out his footing. The efficiency is not where you'd like it to be. He had the exact same 8 for 20 field goal percentage in his last 2 games. Like, Paolo Banchero is not 100%. Like, I know that I gave a whole stink about, it's no longer the issue of your best player is out, because that's still true. He's back, and by virtue of him being back, you should be better. But this is still a guy who is going to be at his 100% as guys like Franz Wagner, as guys like Goga Bitadze, and hopefully Jalen Suggs start coming back. And even the schedule, yes, it looks a little bit difficult right now. And because we're in such a mood where each game and each win that we've had this calendar year has felt like, kind of a win that we had to fight tooth and nail for. And each loss has really felt monumentous and terrible and awful as of recently. The schedule that we have is still the 28th easiest in terms of, or the 28th most difficult, excuse me.
So it's the second easiest.
Like, we got kind of through our gauntlet early on, thankfully. And when you're looking at the end, these are teams that the Magic at full strength could very well be able to at least convincingly defeat. It's just that right now, where we're at, it doesn't look like they can. And we're lucky to be playing teams like the Trailblazers like twice in this next span, as we're still trying to figure out how exactly to reintegrate Paolo Banchero in a system that has functioned so well without him. But these are games that you should be able to at least take seriously. You're not playing Milwaukee or Boston, teams with aspirations to go far in the playoffs. You're playing Portland.
Yeah, we might be a little bit in a sky is falling moment, and it's a long season, so yeah, I'd rather have the bumps and bruises now, Luke, and start hitting our stride in March, April, May. So there's plenty of time, and hopefully Paolo Banchero's eye is okay. It looked like it was fine. He said it was fine, but man, my eyes have been hurting watching some of these games. So hopefully our Orlando Magic turn it around. Luke, thanks as always for joining me. Second Cousins, make sure you're checking out our boys at Orlando Magic HQ and everything that Luke is doing on their website. It's been great. I'll see you next time. Peace out, Luke. Peace out, Second Cousins.
Peace out.